In stage 1 of our fibromyalgia protocol, we are addressing chronic infectious conditions like Epstein-Barr virus that can linger in the body and reactivate when your immune system is placed under stress. EBV and other latent or lingering viruses can contribute towards an overburdened immune system and cause a lot of pain for many people. This video is stage 1. If you haven't gone through stage 0 yet, you can watch this all the way through, but I recommend you check stage 0 out before going on from here to stage 2. We often make the analogy of fibromyalgia being similar to repairing a house damaged by wet, stormy wind and water and left to decay. If you replace the soggy carpet before repairing the roof, it will get damaged again with the next rainfall. So just as we need to start with the roof, walls, and windows of a water-damaged home, we need to start with the immune system and exterior layers of a human body. Just to touch on virology for a second, some viruses like EBV and other herpes virus family members are never really gone from your body once you get them. 90% of us will catch these at some point in our lives, and our immune system tries to keep them suppressed as much as it can, but it has limits. So the presence of a new event that takes additional stress on the immune system, like a new viral or bacterial infection, a new exposure to mold, an immunization, or even a traumatic event or prolonged period of heightened stress, can be the tipping point that allows a latent virus to reactivate and cause us to go into pain. The classical example of this is getting chickenpox as a child and getting shingles in our senior years. The same virus causes both conditions. In fact, it's in the same viral family as EBV. Because these viruses are never really gone from our body, we will never use the term cure when referring to fibromyalgia. We are aiming for remission. Remission can be permanent, and that is where I like all my patients to ultimately go. But the events in our lives aren't always up to us, and sometimes we are pushed by forces beyond our control back into an area of pain. The good news around that is that once you're in remission once, it's usually easier to get back there a second time if you need to. Because I'm creating these videos during the time of COVID, I'm going to touch on the long-haul COVID-induced pain here as well. Clinically, we are seeing many patients who are previously in remission from fibromyalgia be thrown into a flare after an exposure to SARS-CoV-2, and a few also who flared after receiving an immunization. We're also seeing some people who didn't have fibromyalgia before COVID that have been diagnosed with it after COVID, and they typically respond very well to the normal progression of our protocol stages. If you've been following much of the news about long COVID, you'll have probably heard the term microclots being thrown around, along with the increased risk of cardiovascular events like a stroke in some people, and we'll get to that in stage 4. Because of the T-cell exhaustion experienced by many people with fibromyalgia, their immune systems are more sensitive, and they don't have the ability to spike the high fever that can help eradicate a new virus. This condition is more likely in the presence of a lingering virus like EBV, and we know that even if they've never had EBV reactivate in the past, acquiring SARS-CoV-2 can cause EBV to reactivate for the reasons I listed before. SARS-CoV-2 can also linger in viral reservoirs in different types of tissue. While the virus itself doesn't reactivate the way EBV and other herpes virus family members can, it can feel like it comes and goes in episodes in a very similar way. The specific type of pain we'll be addressing today in stage 1 is wandering pain. There may be, probably will be, other qualities of pain you experience, but we will address those in future stages. Whether your pain is dull, sharp, electrical, or burning, our mark for success with stage 1 is the elimination of pain that wanders from place to place. The pain may still be present, but rather than moving around, it will be fixed. Then you go to stage 2. The philosophy we're using for this approach comes from the systems biology of traditional Chinese medicine, where wandering pain is attributed to the environmental factor known as wind. Ancient Chinese physicians weren't aware of microbes like viruses, but they commonly saw and documented people catching a new pathogen that entered their body from the outside and later caused internal disorders. Attached to the invasion of wind were often other factors, and specific to fibromyalgia and post-viral pain, we are looking at what we call wind and dampness. These same physicians noticed people who acquired post-infectious pain often lived in conditions where mold and fungus were more prevalent, such as humid, swampy areas. They also noticed that many of their patients struggled with water retention or were of a social class where they had access to foods that encouraged the development of internal pre-existing dampness such as excess starches and sugars, greasy or rich foods, or excess calories in general, similar to how in the modern era many of us even if we are struggling financially, still eat hyper-palatable processed foods loaded with extra salt, fat, and sugar. These foods cause us to retain water and become more damp and swampy. I'll make a separate video going deeper into nutrition for people with fibromyalgia, but the key take home for now is to eat a simple diet of gently cooked vegetables and whole grains, moderate intake of protein and fats, and try to avoid refined grains and sugars, dairy products, greasy foods, or alcohol as much as you can. We'll also go further into the microbiome and its role with fibromyalgia in stage 2. But for now, to draw another parallel between modern and traditional views on this and how wind and dampness play together, we know that one factor behind reactivation of Epstein-Barr virus is the presence of biofilm-forming bacteria. In case you aren't familiar with it yet, biofilm is a fancy word for mucus. It's a natural part of human physiology. You need enough of it to survive, but like nitric oxide, it has to be in a Goldilocks zone of not too little, not too much, or we can get problems. Biofilm can act as a reservoir for lingering viruses like SARS-CoV-2, and excessive amounts of it are associated with elevated levels of Candida yeast species. It's the sticky milieu that microbes thrive in, and when you have too much of it, that's a literal kind of pathological dampness. Other types of chronic infections can also create wandering pain, and many of them will respond well to our stage 1 protocol. However, if Lyme disease caused by a Borrelia infection is in your history, stage 1 may take longer and be more intricate than this protocol covers. Anecdotally speaking, I have seen some Lyme patients respond very well to the pure stage 1 protocol. Others required longer and more personalized treatment to find remission. So if you have chronic Lyme or PTLDS, this protocol is safe, but may not be all that you need. Now we're going to jump into what to do, so a brief reminder. This content is meant to be used for educational purposes only and is not meant to be taken as medical advice or to replace the advice you've already been given by a medical professional. Please consult with a medical professional before beginning any new exercise, dietary, or supplement regimen. So with stage 1, because we are working on wind and dampness, viruses and biofilm, the place these two phenomena meet in our body is in the lymphatic system and the skin. How to tell if water is moving well in our body. If we sweat every day, have a full, easy, and complete bowel movement every day, urinate regularly without difficulty, and if you have a uterus and are of the age where a menstrual cycle is to be expected to occur, you have a regular, moderate, and hopefully pain-free menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle and its role in fibromyalgia is another topic entirely and will get its own separate video. But if you're experiencing any symptoms around that, know that many of them may resolve as you progress through these stages, and if they don't, there are some easy tweaks I'll teach you how to make to the protocol in stages 3, 4, and 5. Today we want to activate the immune and lymphatic systems with self-massage and gasotransmitter therapy. The lymphatic system is a series of fluid ducts throughout the body with a great deal of immune system activity. Normal lymphatic flow is assisted by physical movement, and for most of human history, we've been moving more than most of us do now in the modern era. If you've been in chronic pain for a long time, it's totally normal to avoid moving since that can make pain worse, especially if the movement is too vigorous. Physical exercise triggers an inflammatory response carried out by your immune system, and when your body's immune system is dysfunctional, that can mean more pain. So I want to emphasize that all exercise done during this protocol should be mild or at the most moderate. The goal is to gently warm the body through movement, to help circulate blood and body fluids, and to activate what is already working for you, but not to push you too hard into pain. The key marker for most people with these exercises will be the production of a light sweat. When we sweat, we are literally moving water out of our body. Because this is a damp condition, most people with fibromyalgia will be carrying too much water. Sweat contains two compounds, lactoferrin and dermcidin, which have an antifungal and antibacterial quality on the skin and can promote a healthy skin microbiome. So once you start to sweat, wait for that sweat to dry on your skin before showering and washing it off. We don't want you to become the stinky friend in your social circle, but we do want you to get the most benefit from your efforts. Other therapies which promote a sweat, such as a sauna, have a significant evidence basis for chronic pain, especially post-viral pain. And if you have access to one of those, you have my full support for beginning to use one regularly. Just do it safely, please. Our first exercise today is going to be self-massage of the neck. You may or may not have neck pain, but the neck is the site of the cervical lymph nodes, and by moving water here, we can have a good effect on promoting lymphatic drainage throughout the rest of the body. It's also the structural bridge between the cranium and the rest of your body, and you wouldn't believe how many patients whose headaches and brain fog have resolved or improved a lot after rehabilitating their necks. For this exercise, you're going to want to be able to reach your hands behind your neck. If you can't reach back here, there's an easy way to get the same effect, so hang on. Our first massage step is going to be a light patting of the chest and shoulders, out the medial side of the arms to the hand, and then back up the dorsal side of the arm and the neck to the base of the skull. If you're not sure if you can do this comfortably, just try slowly moving your hand around the whole range of motion you'll be going through. If you have any restriction that limits you here, or doing this movement causes your body to hurt more, an easy way to modify it is by taking a rolled up newspaper or magazine to extend your reach. So if I can only get to here with my hand now, with a magazine, I can reach all the way behind my shoulder. If you're using your hand just to make a very loose fist, like you're holding a baby bird. As I'm writing the script for this video, we just got baby chicks at my house, and we have to remind the kids that when you hold them, you don't squeeze, you just make a little cup. Repeat this 4 or 5 times. Then we're just going to use our palm and smooth it out, going in the same direction. Good. Now take a deep breath in and out. Now we're going to focus our massage work a little more on the neck itself. So we've done patting and rubbing. Now we're going to press around. So interlace your fingers like this and see if you can get them all the way behind your neck and push here at the base of the skull and then all the way down the neck and then back up again. Really find the sore spots and just gently press into them and work them around. You'll want to focus on this point in the back of the head. This is an acupuncture point that's really important to relieve wind, and I like to really massage this around in circles to open it up. If you can't get both hands behind you, no problem. You can do this pressing with just one hand. Or you can just take something like with a good soft firm balance to it, like a pencil eraser, and use that to press. Now we're going to finish this off with a neck rub and a breathing exercise. One reservoir where biofilms can load up and hang out with nasty critters is in the nasal sinuses. These are around the inside of your head, just behind your face and forehead. And if you've ever had a head cold, you know these are places where a lot of nasty stuff can grow. One of the best ways to literally shake this up and help the biofilm to dissolve is to practice a nasal hum. This is a technique used both in yoga and qigong practice, and it's thousands of years old. It also has a really strong evidence basis for treating chronic infections. Here's a study on how it directly increases local sinus production of antimicrobial nitric oxide by 15 times. And here's a case report where a person used nasal humming alone to reverse chronic fungal sinusitis in only 4 days. So we're going to start by taking a deep breath in through our nose into the upper part of our chest. If you've ever practiced breathing exercises before, a lot of them will involve trying to fill the lower abdomen with air. But for this one, we want to focus on the chest and upper back. Now hold that breath while you interlace your fingers again, and just start rubbing up and down the back of your neck like this. If you can't reach your neck back here, go ahead and just grab a light scarf, or I've even seen people use a tea towel. You'll throw that around behind your neck and just grab it from both sides and lightly move it back and forth. Don't go too strong or you can give yourself a friction burn. You just want this to be gentle enough to warm things up. Now you're going to hold your breath while you do this until you notice that you're starting to break a light sweat. It can take a few seconds, sometimes up to 30 seconds even, to start to open your pores. And if you need to breathe in more while this is happening, go for it. Just pull a little more air in through the nose to your upper chest. When you feel like the pores are starting to open, you can start to breathe out gently and slowly through the nose. And this is the fun part, you're going to use that air movement to hum. While you do this, think about the areas of your face and sinuses that feel the most blocked. If you practice it enough, you'll be able to move the vibration around to specific areas. Hold it there until you run out of breath or you feel it start to open and drain. You can do this as many times as you need to open up your sinuses, slay the bad bugs, and dissolve biofilm, and the sweating gives you a jump start on resolving dampness and building a healthy microbiome. I usually recommend patients to practice this 3 to 5 times a day for as long as they need. Now let's talk about the botanical medicines you can use at this stage. Stage 1 of our protocol combines 3 products together. The first is a tea made by combining 2 formulas together from Chinese medicine history. Minor Bupleurum decoction, also known as Xiao Chai Hu Tang, a formula that's more than 2,000 years old and stars Bupleurum chinensis. It's the most commonly used formula in Chinese medicine for removing lingering pathogens and expelling the wind that causes fibromyalgia wandering pain. To power it up, we combine it with a formula called 3-seed decoction, sanren tang, to flush lymphatic fluid, transform biofilm, and begin modulating the respiratory, GI, and urogenital microbiomes. These two formulas extinguish wind and drain damp. Most importantly, they have an incredibly safe track record for use. The main ingredient, bupleurum, is a perennial herb native to the grasslands of Asia, but the absolute highest quality, what gets used in wind tea, is sustainably wildcrafted from Tibet. Bupleurum is rich from psychosaponin content, which is capable of inhibiting viral replication of both EBV and SARS-CoV-2. It's an antiviral powerhouse, but the beauty of these ancient formulas is that multiple ingredients are combined together to have a synergistic effect. Bupleurum is joined here by scutellaria, which is also strongly antiviral, and Pinellia, which is able to dissolve the biofilm clusters in which pathogenic critters can hide. It additionally has small amounts of ginger and cardamom for their many healthy effects, and to protect the gut flora includes koik seeds. There is also a very small amount of real ginseng. Ginseng has a famous track record as a longevity tonic amongst the elderly and malnourished, but in this formula it is utilized for its ability to disrupt quorum sensing against biofilm-forming microbe communities. Quorum sensing is a complicated phenomenon, but the easiest way I can sum it up for you is that it is the secret text messaging system bacteria use to let each other know when they are under attack. It's part of how they develop antibiotic resistance, part of how they know when to spread, and when they know to sequester themselves inside biofilm. By disrupting this, ginseng is able to make the antimicrobial parts of the formula more effective to get inside the biofilm reservoirs where the viruses behind this stage of fibromyalgia pain can hide. Next up is the Tibetan foot soak. This formula is made of 9 ingredients, and I won't go through the complete pharmacology of them all here. It would take weeks, but I want to touch on some of the key points. Many people are familiar with the debunked concept of the detox foot bath, and that's not what this is. This is a botanical formula designed to be absorbed through the skin to help remove wind and dampness and promote blood circulation through the nooks and crannies of the body that assists with overcoming the damage and pain of chronic inflammatory conditions like fibromyalgia. Dysregulated cascades of inflammation are behind many chronic medical syndromes. Inflammation should be a short-term, healthy process that helps us heal from injury or infection. When it goes awry, this is where chronic conditions start. If you'd like to learn more about this, please see my earlier video on low body temperature, T-cell exhaustion, and the inability to spike a fever. The Tibetan foot soak should be prepared like you're making a cup of tea, a really big cup that you could fit both of your feet into. The hot water releases the volatile terpene content of the herbs, which allows the alkaloids and other components to penetrate through your skin. Some of these herbs can be taken orally in certain circumstances, but they are very strong, and some of them, like saffron root, can cause digestive upset, so we recommend this for external use only. Part of saffron's name in Mandarin is ku, which literally means bitter. So whereas wind tea tastes really nice, I promise you're not missing out on any tasty flavors here with the foot soak. The technology of the foot soak comes from a part of the world riddled with some of the most infectious fungal pathogens known to humanity. You don't shower barefoot in Sichuan or Tibet. These volatiles are strongly antifungal and can begin the repair process necessary to recover from mold toxicity, which is also a factor for many people with fibromyalgia. Last things for today about the foot soak is the combination of Tibetan saffron and acorus. Acorus is traditionally said to clear the mind from brain fog and is frequently used for the classic combo of headache, brain fog, and digestive upset with the presence of phlegm. It also promotes neurogenesis to heal neuropathy and hopefully make you smarter. Saffron, aside from being an incredibly rare and delicious spice, has strong helpful effects on the cardiovascular system, against pain, and can promote the growth and repair of blood vessels. There's an old saying that when a tree dies, it's the roots that go first. I have yet to see a fibromyalgia patient that didn't have something going awry with their feet, whether it's just that they're constantly cold or that they hurt all the time, or that neuropathy with pain and burning is starting to set in. The whole principle of the foot soak is to bring the feet back to life, to rejuvenate the rest of the tree. So now we have something to drink, something to wear, and lastly is something to eat. Well, more like something you swallow when you eat. This is MicroGuard Plus. If you've followed me for any length of time, you'll know how I love to draw the parallels between fibromyalgia and IBS, how they are both diagnoses of exclusion and how the health of our gut and our sensitivity to pain are so intricately linked. MicroGuard Plus is designed specifically to address the negative effects of the American diet. While we may have easy access to excess calories, many of our foods are deficient in nutrients, are too high in refined sugars, flours, and oils, and lead to dysbiosis that makes us more susceptible to chronic infections, pain, and fatigue. MicroGuard Plus addresses this. It promotes a healthy GI microbiome, which is foundational to health in just about every other realm. Regarding dosage of these products, I like to start very gentle. 1 or 2 bags of wind tea per day, simmered in about a quart of water and sipped all day long. 1 Tibetan foot-soaked tea bag steeped in boiled water for about 5 to 10 minutes, then add cold water into your bucket to bring it down to 115 degrees or below. Make sure the soaking water covers your ankle bones and the entire foot. Soak for 30 to 45 minutes or until you break a light sweat. And for most of us, we'll want to do some gentle sighing breaths while we soak to help release extra nitric oxide, dilate our blood vessels, and relax the nervous system. And 1 layer of MicroGuard Plus pellets on the inside of the vial cap with every meal. You can practice the self-massage and the hum 3 to 5 times per day. Most people will go through the stage 1 protocol in about 2 weeks' time. Some will need to repeat this once or twice, but the key sign we're watching for is the elimination of wandering pain. Once your wandering pain is gone, you're ready to move on to stage 2. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please click the thumbs up button below, leave us a comment, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and give us a follow here and on other social media. You can of course get the products I mentioned anywhere you like, but I will post a link in the video notes below where you can easily order them off our website with a discount code. I appreciate your support, and I hope you found this information helpful and educational. Be well.